You have opening comments? You want to start with questions?
Yeah, no, I'd say I'll start with, on behalf of our team and organization, first of all, I want to send along our best wishes to Coach Rivera. Ron's been a good friend and certainly a person that's, had a great career in the National Football League. He's a quality person, player, coach, and so just want to send our best wishes along to him, and hope for a speedy and complete recovery, and hope that he's doing well. And we're wrapping up the week here with a day that we're starting to put some things together, different down and distance situations. We've covered most of the major kicking situations, and obviously not a lot of like end of game type plays. I'm not talking about that, but just the general situations that come up, normal situations that come up on offense, defense, and special teams. And I think we're getting to the point here where we've hit most of those, and review them again today, and then next week will give us a good opportunity to, I would say, start practicing and hitting them the second, third times through type of thing, so that we're closer to where we want to be in terms of understanding not just what we want to do, but how we want to do it, and what are some of the variables that can come up. So it's been a pretty, like, we've had a pretty solid week of practice, 3 days of contact, and high speed practices the other days, and we're really coming into the next week and a half or so be really important weeks of camp in the development and preparation of our team from a overall standpoint. And then the final week or 10 days obviously would be with more focus on Miami. So just keep taking it day by day here, and try to string some good days together, and build our consistency and overall fundamentals of our team that will need to carry us throughout the games this season.
We're going to start with Tom Kern, followed by Phil Perry.
Hey, Bill. I just have a question on scouting and the lack of preseason games, and the ability to, as releases are made around the league, how difficult does it make it for your personnel staff, pro personnel staff, to kind of scout guys and not know exactly what they've done over the past however many months?
Well, everybody's in the same situation. They're all looking at the same information. So, those are the decisions you got to make. So it's not an uncommon situation. There are plenty of times when players aren't able to participate, in parts of training camp. Sometimes they don't play in preseason games, and then their name's on the waiver wire at the 53 cut at the end of the year. So, you just have to go on the information that you have. Usually that's a much smaller percentage than what obviously we'll be dealing with this year, but that's the situation.
Good deal. And just one quick follow too. We haven't seen a lot of Justin Rohrwasser this week. How's his progress been in terms of field goals and his assimilation into the pros?
Yeah, everybody's making progress.
Next question, Phil Perry, followed by Doug Kai.
Hey, Bill, I'm curious. We've asked you about quarterbacks and decision making and training camp practices before, and what an interception might mean. But I'm wondering if this year, because it is different, because you guys don't have preseason games, if you look at those types of plays any differently when you see an interception happen, how okay is that in your mind, based on knowing that quarterbacks are trying to figure out what they can and can't do maybe at this point in time? And does that change at all given the changes in this offseason?
Yeah, well, I think I don't think over evaluating one individual play for any player at any position is usually a good evaluation tool. All players have good plays out there. All players have bad plays, as do the coaches. So I think you look at the body of work. We're running hundreds of plays, and it's the composite of all of it. I don't think it's one play by anybody. That of course good plays are good, and plays that aren't so good. But we all have those. I think it really comes down to the consistency and the overall performance of players, and I would say the progression and the track that they're on, improving, staying about the same, or possibly declining. I would say we don't see a lot of declining because guys are working out there every day, and they're generally getting better. But sometimes maybe it's the rate of improvement and the overall consistency.
Next question, Doug Hyde, followed by Jim McBride.
Hey, Bill. Good morning.
Hi, Doug.
Going back to, I think it was 2006 or 2007 when we used to see Brian on the sideline, helping out, holding a clipboard. How cool is it now to kind of have that come full circle and have him on the staff as a position coach?
Yeah, well, Steven and Brian have grown up a lot, and they've come a long way, especially when I've had a chance to see them, their whole lives. But they've been around a lot of football. They've seen a lot of football. They've seen things done, from a different perspective than other people. But in the end, I don't know anybody that knows our football program better than Steven, who's, been in it a little bit longer, but Brian as well, who's, just lived their whole life with this program. So all the things that we do for all the different reasons and how it all ties together and so forth, they have a very good understanding of all the things that are involved and how it all is interwoven, and that's valuable to me because they have a perspective of that. We have a lot of good coaches on our staff. I'm not saying that those guys are very, very good coaches and very proficient, and they do a great job. But it's a little different to see it from the perspective that Brian has seen it from, or Steve. So they all help. They're all valuable, and I'm glad we have them.
Thanks.
Next question, Jim McBride, followed by Zach Cox.
Morning, Coach. Just
Hey, Jim.
wanted to ask you about the progress of a couple of second-year offensive linemen that didn't get kind of to play last year, and Yelder and Yodney, and what you've seen from them in camp so far.
Yeah, I think overall, Jim, our second-year players have, in general, taken a good step. They're all way ahead of where they were last year, specifically on the offensive line. Yodney is, again, a guy who hasn't played a lot of football, just his background and so forth. So he's learned an awful lot. He's a very smart kid, and he's got good physical talent. He's strong. He's explosive. He can run well. He can do a lot of different things. It's really about refinement and technique and anticipation and things like that. And he's taken a big jump there. And Yodney obviously missed the whole year last year. Even missed more time than Froholt did. But he's a guy that has a lot of experience playing the position that he's played in college, and again, it's really for him more of getting back into playing and being consistent in his footwork and hand punch and technique and balance and things like that. Training in the weight room and conditioning and so forth are they're great to put a player in position to compete and practice, but from a football standpoint, especially in the offensive line, working against other bodies and having your balance, being able to, have that hand-to-hand, close quarters contact there's just no substitute for that. So we've had, 3 days in pads, and, those guys need a lot of work on that, and we're getting better, making progress, but we got a long way to go.
Next question, Zach Cox, followed by Henry McKenna.
Hey, Bill. What kind of growth have you seen from Gunner since you guys first got him in here last spring?
Yeah, Gunner's improved tremendously. Again, both physically and from a football standpoint. He's a smart kid. He works extremely hard. He's tough. He's just very, very competitive, and he's learned how to do a lot of different things for us, and he continues to work on things that will expand his opportunities. And so it'll be interesting to watch him take advantage or try to take advantage of those opportunities, and watch him play and see all that's coming together. But his overall background, knowledge, understanding, being a professional athlete, training, some of his fundamental athletic skills he's refined those quite a bit, and he's much further ahead from where he was last year, similar to other second-year players that we just talked about. But he's certainly in that group.
Next question, Henry McKenna, followed by Ben Volen.
Hey, Bill. So, now that you guys have been a few days into practices, I wonder, with Tom Brady having been around for 2 decades, whether it's ever strange to not have him around this year. I know, I don't know, maybe being in person in the facility, whether that ever comes to mind.
Yeah, well, we've had a lot of great players over the course of that time, and you could have the same conversation about all of them: Teddy Bruschi, Rodney Harrison, Ty Law, Logan Mankins, Rob. I mean, you go right down the line. So it's it's professional football. It's a National Football League. Every team has changes every year. We have them, so does everybody else. And I think right now everybody's focused on this year. We're looking ahead. We're not looking backwards at anything. We're trying to look ahead and look at what our opportunities, challenges, and that we have coming forward this season, in 2020 season. So that's really where our focus is.
Next question, Ben Volen, followed by Mike Giardi.
Good morning, Bill. The NFL released the travel guidelines the other day for regular season road games, and I'm just curious, do you expect it to greatly affect how you guys do business on the road, and are you able to do any sort of dry run about how road trips are going to go since there's no preseason?
Right. So we have people in our organization that that's really what they focus on, and so I work with them in the terms of coordination of that. And there were some travel guides earlier that, as you said, were, let's call it, refined or modified, that we got recently. And so I'm kind of leaving it with them to kind of go through those, and then we'll have a meeting in the near future to talk about the changes and how that would affect us. We've talked about how we're going to try to do things, and certainly we have to make sure that they're all within the protocols that the league has issued. And so if they're not, then we can talk about what changes we need to make. It's my understanding, I think, that we're pretty close on that all the things that we would want to do, we'll be able to do, but there may be 1 or 2 things there that we have to do a little bit differently. Well, obviously there are things we have to do differently, but things that we had planned on doing that, we might have to modify. So my sense on that is we're pretty close. Are there some I's to dot and T's to cross? I'm sure there are. I know there are, and we'll work on that. We're 4 weeks away from our first away game, so it's coming up. But I think that we're pretty well organized on that, and we've talked about, things we have options on, which way would be better to do it, things that we haven't done before, and so I don't know. We'll see how that works. There may be some trial and error in that, or maybe we'll do something and everybody will feel like, this is the best way to do it. So we'll kind of have to wait until that actually happens. But I'd say in the meantime, I feel like our preparations are pretty well on target. And again, of course, we'll be in compliance with whatever we need to do.
And I mean, you guys have a lot of long trips this year. Seattle in week 2, 2 games back to back in LA. Are these travel protocols going to affect maybe not going a day early, or just maybe affect how you guys do the travel?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that we'll be able to, stay with the schedule that we had initially planned on, but certainly there are a lot of details to be worked out, not only in away games but also on home games, because there are travel policies or game day policies that are going to be different there as well. So, we'll deal with those all in time, and some of the things that we might have an opportunity to dry run or rehearse or look at, if we can do that, we will. Taking a trip isn't one of them, but there are other game day policies that we can implement to make sure everybody's comfortable with those going forward. So I'd say it'd be a combination of those things, but in the big picture, I don't think our travel situation will alter too dramatically from what it's been in the past.
We only have time for a couple more questions. We'll do Mike Giardi, followed by Mark Daniels.
Morning, Bill.
Hey, Mike.
Jared appeared to struggle a little bit during team period yesterday. I guess, how important is it for you in your evaluation of the player to see him return the next day to practice and respond positively to the corrections that were made and take that step forward again and sort of show that, all right, I put that in the rear view?
Yeah. Well, again, we talked about this a little bit earlier. I don't think it's really good for us as a coaching staff to over-evaluate, an individual play when we have, so many plays to work with. But every player makes mistakes out there. Every player gets corrected. Every player gets coaching points on things that they can do better, differently. And I would say ultimately we're going to reach a point where, we have to, really evaluate, what the performance is. I think in the early stages, there's definitely a timing, confidence, anticipation issues that are, different from player to player, and depending on who they're in there with and what the play was and how things unfolded and so forth, that sometimes those are mistakes, sometimes they're learning experiences, sometimes they're, could be mistakes by multiple people involved in a specific part of the play that have to be ironed out. So, again, our job is to evaluate, the overall performance and progress of the players. And I think as we get a little bit further into camp, that's easier to do when everybody has done their assignment, multiple times and multiple looks, and they're confident and they know what they're doing and all that. The first time through for any of us doing anything, doesn't go as smoothly as what it does when you've had multiple repetitions at that experience. So, that's what our job is. That's what we'll evaluate, and it's certainly an ongoing one that I think is going to become more important in succeeding days. The first day or two, 3, whatever, is not, I would say, not as critical as going forward when you've been through things multiple times.
Thank you, Bill.
You're welcome.
And I'll apologize to those we don't get to, but we'll finish with Mark Daniels. Go ahead, Mark.
Hey, Bill. It's been a few years since we've seen an assistant on the team with the defensive coordinator title. And I was wondering, what does an assistant have to show you to earn that promotion and that title? And what goes into whether or not you name someone, the defensive coordinator for a season or not?
Yeah, well, each one of those situations is different and unique, and I've been a head coach, I've been a position coach, I've been a coordinator. I've coached on, all three units, and I would say the focus around here isn't really on titles as much as it is on getting the job done and doing the things that help the team. So whether it's titles like general manager and coordinator and a bunch of other stuff like that, I don't think that those titles necessarily are that important. In some cases, there's reasons for doing it or not doing it, but every situation's different. And what's more important to us is, the overall performance of the team and the person's role in that performance. And so that's really where our focus is, not the titles that go, next to everybody's name and all that. Sometimes those are, I would say, more confusing than anything else. So I think each person knows what their assignments are, what they need to do, what they're responsible for, and that's, to me, the most important part of all that. So I would say we aren't really all that concerned. I'm not all that concerned about, some of the other things that go with that. Teams have like 8 assistant head coaches and 3 coordinators on each side of the ball for, different things and so forth. We're not going to do that.
Thank you very much, Coach. Thanks, everyone.
Great.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Stacy.
How do we inspire people to lead their healthiest lives? How do we bring everyone together so that healthcare finally works for all of us? We know how. We are the how. Optum. How well gets done.
What's my retirement savings plan? Oil, baby. Oil. Sprinkler pipe. Diane!
Ready or not.
Gillette ProGlide and ProGlide Gel. 5 blades and a pivoting flex ball designed to get virtually every hair on the first stroke while washing away dirt and oil. So you're ready for the day with a clean shave and a clean face.
For over 60 years, this team has transformed itself into a championship organization. For over 160 years, our team has demonstrated a similar mentality. There are no days off. Our front lines are fortified by people who sacrifice individuality for the team. Our shelves are also stocked with the best quality products and ingredients. Our team members know their roles. We're proud to do our jobs. Shaw's, the official supermarket of the 6-time champion New England Patriots.
My Caleb Sofa and Love Seat. With Bob's discount, you get both pieces for just $7.99.
$7.99? Are you joking?
Do I look like I'm joking?
Yes, you look like you're joking.
I'm serious.
Cool.
Get Bob's discount! How do we inspire people to lead their healthiest lives? How do we bring everyone together so that healthcare finally works for all of us? We know how. We are the how. Optum.